I suppose I started out as a teacher, and my mum's a seamstress, so I grew up kind of with my mum sewing. She had a little business at home, and I used to come home from school and sit and have a cup of tea, and she'd be sewing there, and I would just chat with her. So I grew up around sewing, and then I kind of I sort of became a teacher of different things, not just sewing. So it's kind of always been in my blood. So basically, what I do is about teaching, and I love clothes and I love cloth, and I've always had a real sort of green edge to whatever I do, whether it was when I was even doing graphics and illustration, it was all about green graphics. So that idea of sustainability is kind of just also there as well. My brand, so it's, I would say, playful. I like one of my favourite words to describe what I do is cutility, which is a kind of a blend of utility, so functional, and cute. That's the fun twist. So I did illustration and graphics at college, and then I became an art teacher for 10 years in a secondary school. So passionate about, you know, passing knowledge on. And then I had my kids and was at home, and I was like, oh, you know, I went back to my sewing, because what else do you do, you know, when they're having a nap and you're at home and you still want to be creative. And so they'd be kitted out in little pyjamas and little dresses, and then people would ask me if they love to sew, and I was like, oh well, I'll teach you. So they used to come around to my kitchen, and the babies would be all running around, and that's how it started off. And then I sort of got a job as an alterations lady in town, and kind of still what I am. It's quite interesting. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Then the alterations kind of took off and became the sort of bread and butter, really, of what I do, because literally it never stops coming in, and I never advertise that part of the business. But so then it grew from there, and then the teaching, and yeah, here I am.
So you mentioned a bit about alterations.
Yeah.
The other things that I understand you do are sort of mending, bespoke clothing and patterns, as well as classes. What's your favourite part of this to work on? And also, how did you decide on these being the main elements?
Yeah, that's a really hard question, because I am so sort of jack of all trades that I just love dipping in and out of all of them, and they all kind of work together. But to be honest, the last couple of years I've discovered that I really like the events, to be honest, and getting people together and doing talks, talking about what I'm really passionate about, which is sustainable clothing, and also just empowering others, whether it be teaching them how to sew, how to do their alteration, just seeing the joy that they get out of either wearing clothes that they love and that fit them. I went to see a film called The True Cost. And even before that, I've always just had a natural kind of thing about always using the very last bit of cloth and not throwing anything away. It's just kind of the way I am. And then when I saw that film, and also my mum is a seamstress, she actually said to me, if you ever go into sewing as a job, I'd be really disappointed, because she sweated at that sewing machine like as a kid, and it looked like really hard work. So I know what it's like to make clothes and how much effort it goes into it. So when you sort of see clothes being so cheap and people not really appreciating it as a skill, that I really want to sort of make sure people know what goes into how a garment is made up. And then that whole kind of the waste thing, and disposable clothing, the fast fashion. I stopped buying brand new clothes. As soon as I saw that film, I just went into kind of nothing new, and I still haven't. Apart from obvious things. But yeah, basically second-hand clothes, fixing clothes, making my own clothes, and also the alteration part of my business can be really dull, and some days customers will come in and you'll go, oh God, really, another pair of jeans? But actually now that I've got my head around that actually that is the only way to go, clothing wise, it's brilliant. I really support it and try and enjoy it a bit more. First stop is finding somewhere that I can get cloth that is waste, sort of dead stock and leftovers basically, or it might even be leftovers from my stash. So that's the first place I'll go, and then my patterns, when I'm sort of laying them all on the fabric and laying it out, I will try and sort of get every little bit of fabric and put a pocket in that space there, and then turn that upside down so it kind of fits, so there's literally scraps left over. And then I might actually try and make, if there is a bit left over, I'll do a different style on the other side. So if I'm using that side for the dress, I might put a skirt on that side of the cloth when I'm cutting it out.
Do you describe the aesthetic of your clothing?
It's cutility. It's cute and utility, and it's versatile. So the idea is that you're gonna wear it tons, because what they say is that whole 30 wear thing. If you're gonna wear it 30 times, then it's well worth buying. So it's got to go with other stuff. It's got to be versatile, simple as well. But also, as you'll see, it's kind of, there's got I love the little bits of colour that you can see on it. The bits of I've got red buttons there, and they're sort of vintage red glass buttons that I've used there. I love red. Yeah. About just having less stuff and basically keeping what you've got in circulation, whether it be clothes or fabric. So every bit of my fabric, in the first instance, it's dead stock from the fashion industry. Then I make clothes out of it, and I can't even bear to throw away little scraps, so I make bags out of the bigger bits, and then bunting, which is on there, out of even the tiniest bit. So it's basically, we've got enough stuff already in existence, and it's just a case of being inventive and creative, and using what we've already got. And the second bit of all of that is it's super fun to do that as well. It's such a good feeling to actually make stuff. It's good for you, it's absorbing, it gives you pride in what you've done, but also that whole idea of clothes are your second skin, and it's how you express yourself. So that whole fun bit about showing your individuality through what you wear is brilliant.
Who would you say your most regular or typical customer is?
Again, there's so many elements to what I do, but I would have to say it's the alterations. I mean, it goes back to how I started, and it's just always ticked through my whole business. It's not what I love doing most, but the fact that people still want to mend their clothes. And the best thing is, in the last year, that people are asking me more and more to make their men's visible, instead of being shamed, a bit ashamed of having a button that's fallen off, or they're actually wanting me to sort of use a colourful thread or a patch that might show up. So that's brilliant.
That's really interesting.
I'm really excited by that. I think the alterations is growing. I think it will. The sewing lessons that is growing. People want it, and the interesting thing about the sewing lessons is it's actually the ages of the people wanting to sew is growing. So I'm getting much more younger people wanting to learn how to sew.
Where do you see the fashion industry in terms of ethos and ethics surrounding sustainability in 10 years' time?
Well, I just think they've got no choice to just massively change and shift the way things are done. I think it's going to be more transparent, so people will have more of an idea where things come from, who made it, what's it made of, where it's going to go after you've used it. I think there's going to be a huge shift in second-hand pre-loved clothing. I really do. I think that is where it's heading. Whether it be people making clothes from scratch, I'm not so sure about that, but I definitely think upcycling things, I think that's going to be really popular. I mean, you can already see that in brands. They're actually, I think Somebody told me a big brand is actually, you can bring in one of their clothes that doesn't fit you anymore and just put it on the shelf and take another one. So clothes swaps, that kind of thing. The community, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's only started in the past year, but I love it, and so many other people. Everyone who gets involved loves it on so many levels, because it's either the team building aspect of it, plus it's good for the environment. When we do sort of the modelling with the fashion show and stuff like that, the sort of feel good buzz that people get out of that is so brilliant. And it's also it's a solution and it's fun. I mean, what more could you want? The thrift fashion show is the biggie. That's my baby, and I love it. And I think I want to do so much more with that. I want to be on telly. Okay, I love that because it works on so many levels. Because you're using clothes that are already in existence. You're helping the community. So there's the charity shops you're working with. So they come together, and then you've got the models who are just normal, regular people, different shapes and sizes, and they go from like, okay, I'll do it if you want, and really kind of nervous, and then that whole sort of confidence that you bring into them, the body confidence thing, that's so fab to see. And then the actual event in itself, where everyone comes together, and you put on a show, and it's really fun. And then afterwards, we then sell all the clothes and make a bit of money for the charity shops. End of April is Fashion Revolution Week, so we always do something to do with that. I try to sort of change it every year. So we'll do. Last year we did a clothes swap, which we called Fashion Revolution. I think we called it Fashion Revolution that whole week. So we did a clothes swap, but in the morning we had a screening of the true cost. And then I've done something quite recently that was a fabric swap, which I will definitely do again next year. It was a kind of a new idea, but we've all got like little stashes of fabric under the bed that you've had for years, or wherever you keep them. And so, and projects that you thought you were going to do but never did. So that worked really well. And after that, we did a skill swap. So I taught my students how to do simple things, and they were all to do with mending and alteration. So sort of sashiko stitching, that beautiful Japanese stitching, and they passed that on to other people. So that was also a swap. So we'll definitely do another fabric swap. We will definitely do something in Fashion Revolution Week, and we always do a clothes swap as well, twice a year. Well, I'm all over it on Instagram. My website, it's always on there, and then just locally, word of mouth around here. I think that's I probably should advertise a bit more. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.